All right, let's construct a truth table for the statement P and not Q, or not P or Q. We'll start with columns P and Q using the tradition TT, FF, TF, TF to represent all possible outcomes of P and Q. The first thing we can do is negate Q. Not Q is to look at the Q column and reverse the truth values. So T's become F's and F's become T's. Now we can AND our not Q with our P. So if we look at our P column and our not Q column, and we use our AND symbol, then what we have to remember is the key point. The only thing that makes an AND true is that both sides are true. That happens in the second row only. If we try to OR this result, we won't be able to. So now what we can do is negate this P. When we negate P, we look at just the P column and we flip those T's to F's and those F's to T's. So F, F, T, T. Now we can OR our not P with our Q. So not P and Q. Cover up our other columns. We have Q, not P or Q. The key point for OR is the only thing that makes an OR false is if both components are false. Both components are false in the second row. Started writing there on accident. And otherwise, true. Ignore that. All right, and finally what we can do is we can take the results of the left-hand side and the results of the right-hand side, and we can OR them. So we have P and not Q as our left-hand side. That's this column here. We also will need our not P or Q column. Not P or Q column. This column here. So if we come in here and just look at the columns that we need, then what we have to focus on is ORing them, right? ORing them. And recall that the only thing that makes an OR false is if both components are false. That never happens. So we have T, 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 T. This final column is our answer. Let's look at constructing the same truth table in a different manner. A second way is to put a column under each action and to build the truth table as it sits. Now, in the first example, we gave ourselves P columns. We also gave ourselves a Q column. And as you see here, we have a P and a Q. So we can put that P column here, T, T, F, F, and that Q column here, T, F, T, F. Now we have our setup columns in order. Next, what we could do is, again, we can negate Q, then we can AND it with P, just like before. We can then negate P, OR it with Q. And finally, we can take the left-hand side result and the right-hand side result, and we can OR them. We'll also want to remind ourselves of our key points, which is that an AND is only true if all components are true. An OR is only false if all components are false. All right, let's start. Let's look at step 1, negating Q. So we look at the Q column and we turn T's to F's and F's to T's. So not Q is FT, FT. Second, we can AND our not Q with our P. So we look at these two columns and remind ourselves that an AND is true if both sides are true, otherwise false. Now on step 3, we're done with the left-hand side. So we can move to step 3. Step 3, we have not P. Not P is to look at the P column and reverse the truth to false and false to truth. Now we can OR our not P with our Q column. And OR is false if all components are false. We're just looking at these two here. We have false, false in the second row, otherwise true. And that's the end result of our second side. So when we come now to the 5th line, so let's go put our numbers up here. Now we're at the 5th action column, and in this column we'll get our answer. So we're going to look at these two columns and we're going to OR them, and that's going to give us our answer column. So if we look at the correct columns and use our OR. Then if we have two F's, we write an F. And we have TF, so true, FT, so true, TF, and TF. There were never two F's on a row, so this is our answer column here. Here you can see the two methods side by side. In the first method, we moved linearly across the board, rewriting the title each time that we were working on. And our answer is always in the last column. The second method, we put columns where each variable sat in the statement itself and built the table below it. The answer ends up being in the middle. But you can see that with both methods, we get the same answer.